Did you know that a snake is a powerful animal guide, a symbol of healing, fertility, strength, so that let's create our own beauties that will protect us, protect our home, and at the same time will improve our skills. So sit down, relax, and you'll know something new today. So I have Moldix from the Resin Company, a shard and a horseshoe. And also, if you see two cloudy pigments there, apple Peru and malachite, delicious. I need a thick resin, mix it well. You can put component and near the heat and it will be softer and work better with you. I clean our Moldix with neat, non-scratching, non-finishing movements so they will serve us for a long time. If you are cooking something over the molds, it is better to cover them with a screen, and I spray a wax divider into the mold before work so that the smoke is better. And to prolong the life of my moldic, I divide it into 3 cups. The first cup goes to the first layer for horseshoeing. This is 25G. I will dye it with a loose milky white pigment, also from the Reynard Company. The second, third color is apple pie and malachite. This is for a shard. It will be like a piece of a leaf that was found in a cut of a stone, broken off with a shard. A snake quickly crawled over it. How do you like the legend? So, in my 25G, the first thing that I left, remember, for horseshoeing, I drip 1 drop of white pigment. Please make sure that this particular layer is as light, loose, and non-covering as possible. This is very important. You can make any color you want, but it should not be too dense. Further in 35G, which I highlighted, for malachite I drip 1 drop. I also control and observe that there is no color density so that I was not opaque, and decided that I wanted an even brighter color. I added another drop, actively stir. No, we are not afraid of bubbles. Bubbles will come out. In this work, they are not important. They will not spoil. Even if there are bubbles, you need to mix the product very, very carefully because this will just spoil the product. Because the pigment not mixed in the resin does not harden, it will remain dirt, it will spoil your work, and I will have to drill it out again, pour it again. Then I add 2 drops of apple pie in 25G too. Not tight, also mix well, but malachite, you see, it's more stained glass and apple pie thicker, so it's neater with it, but the color is delicious. Just like I imagine a sheet of paper made of 2 faces, which is frozen and which we will draw in droplets. I don't pour a thick layer. You see, I distribute it with a spatula carefully without scratching the mold, because if we scratch, these scratches will be imprinted in our next product. Carefully distribute and not thick layer according to the principle of, like at the finish line, this thickness somewhere, because I will drip further. Here's an important point. Stop and listen to me carefully. This technique works very well on stretches, in molds. It creates really cool, tasty sea effects. But the main thing is to wait for the resin to be really honey. That's why I took a thick one. You can use a medium one, or even a liquid one in principle. But it's better to take a more viscous resin and to let it sit for a while. Otherwise, all these drops will disperse. Next, I've prepared a lesson for you on a panel with koi fish. We will create a sea surface. So after working out this technique, by understanding how it interacts with resin, you can create really cool and unusual works. But the main thing is to wait for the resin to gain viscosity. So when the layer is dry, I need any viscosity. I need resin of any viscosity and dye. My undercoat will be a blue horseshoe. Here's mint breeze from Resinards, and my leaf will be such a light apple pie. I separate it for blue. Here's 25 grams for mint. And here I add blue ink. Here's more. Mix well. And the rest of the resin I color with apple pie. It should also be dense. I think that I will even add a little white taste mix. There should be a light base compared to what you did digging. So that's it. Pour it out. We leave it to polymerize, eat super, remove all the bubbles, wait for it to dry. When everything is dry, grab brushes, palettes, acrylic from resin. To draw the first stage, we need these three colors: olive, white, and black. I took a thin brush for drawings, veins between the leaves. That is, you already see what it is, a leaf with droplets, with veins, with a skeleton. And I decided to make it darker, according to those puddles that turned out to be darker olive. I paint with pure acrylic. I don't dilute it much with water because a piece of epoxy resin is not a canvas. The water will not be absorbed. It will only give a dirty puddle and you will have to work longer. I work in a warm heated room, which is why my acrylic dries quite quickly. If you're going to train and work a little longer, then take away all the heat so that the acrylic doesn't harden too quickly, and I dilute it as gently and easily as possible, smearing this light olive on the right side. On the dark green, I'm doing a mix with black, green, and olive. But when the veins of the stalk have dried out, I paint with white acrylic. I cover this with a matte varnish. I let it dry well. Matte purposely, I apply it very closely under strong pressure to create a kind of dew effect. Now I draw a zigzag in resin. This will be my little snake, which I'll also draw with thick acrylic. Now for the snake, we need peach, yellow, and black. The olive is still on the palette, and sometimes I might add it. I mix peach and yellow to achieve this. Peachy yellow. I apply it thickly all over the snake. Here carefully so that you have an even contour. And this lesson is for those who don't know how to draw. I also don't know how to draw. I learn every day with you. I'm not an artist. I didn't graduate from art school. I'm just stubborn and persistent. I draw almost every day. I try to force myself, and because of this, I'm not afraid of any stories. On the contrary, the scarier a story is, the more likely I am to take it up and draw. And now, along the veins of the snake, I first trace its contour here and there, make the body darker. You see, I use a thin brush. And I make the veins on the body itself light brown. I mix yellow and black. You get such a gray brown, and I draw not as usual, but with strokes, but as if I put dots, because the snake, it also consists of small scales. To draw them, you still need to have a fairly strong nervous system to have. I don't have such nerves. I won't be able to sit for so long, draw, so I use. And you can also draw any pattern with chaotic spots, any such squiggles. You can also glue sequins on top of the UV resin or glue in the nail store. If you are nearby, come in and see black sequins, white sequins, gold, whatever. They will give the effect of reptile scales. And prepare the rhinestones and prepare to draw another inhabitant on this petal, because one snake is enough. It will be boring here. When I've drawn, I'll let the acrylic dry properly and draw a little ladybug. Mine will have a transition from yellow to orange. I'll draw a black divider for the wings in the middle. I'll have 3 black spots, although you can do any number. And where its face is, I'll insert another strazic there, add another jewel, close it, and make a more voluminous drop of UV resin. dry it. The instructions for how long to dry UV resin are on the tube. Each resin has its own hardening time. With the resin you have, I'll overlap the snake a little and also let it harden. You'll get a matte petal and a glossy snake. While I'm working, I decided to make drops because droplets will look very cool on a matte surface. Drops will look great on a matte surface. You can do this with thickening resin. That is, mix a little bit of resin, let it stand so that it gains viscosity, and also drip droplets. But I'm doing it in resin because it's faster, and since I'm recording a master class, I need to save time like this. I apply drops in. Now look at how I made a horseshoe, lengthened the snake with a little one, and drew inspired by a snake from the Gucci brand. That's my striped snake. And I also decided to make a second resident on this snake. Because there are so many bees, butterflies, and insects on the Gucci logo, on Gucci prints, I wondered for a long time who to make. But I decided to make this butterfly bee. Right now you can see, so bloated with rhinestones, also funny by the way, and I want to draw one on my nails. I drew light gray muzzles in some places, but if you look closely you see rhombuses on the face. And by the way, a piece of advice, it's easy to deceive our eyes. You don't have to draw the full scales of snakes. You can draw scales here and there, rhombuses. The eye itself will figure it out. That is a face made of rhombuses. Somewhere here there are also rhombuses on the body, so the whole snake is made of scales. This is a trick that has been used by all artists for a long time. It's not necessary to fill in. Simply add a few roses to the dress, and then people will imagine that the whole dress is covered in roses. Use this cunning trick. It's for the lazy. I always have such cunning tricks. Look what kind of bee I'm going to make. I found a bee. But here its wings are like this. They're straight and elongated. I have a more pot-bellied one, a bee that's quite relaxed after a vacation. I make a base out of white acrylic as usual. I'm painting with dense acrylic. There's practically no water for me, only for cleaning the brush. And my brush here is thinner than in the previous drawings. Why? Because here I need more precise, finer drawings, and I trim the brush. I buy the narrowest brushes in an art store and trim them too. Look, I made a polo body. I filled in the stripes of the body with rhinestones. I also glued rhinestones in between the rhinestones and placed beads and a stomach between the rhinestones. I will also make the wings voluminous, round belly-like voluminous, and with crystal clear epoxy resin, they will also harden. Look at these beauties on the street. Leaves just sparkle, they just shine. And look at the bug, just incredible. Such beauty, with such emotions, with such a mood. I am confident that these products will bring only good luck, only positivity. I will gladly look at your workout pieces, send them, tag them, use resin art materials. It is super easy, super beautiful. And now look at what kind of fish you can make. We also recorded a lesson for you on resin art materials. Bye, everyone.